Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. I am Adanna Combie, and of course, we begin conversations this morning proudly speaking with Mr. Luke Trim James this morning, and we are talking about he's the CARICOM Youth Ambassador for Trinidad and Tobago, and that's Luke James Trim, sorry, CARICOM Ambassador for the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago from right here in Tobago, our very own, and one of our hosts right here on the morning show on Youth Wednesdays, a familiar face to all, a familiar name to all, and I'm certain a familiar voice to all. Good morning, Luke, and welcome.
Good morning, Adanna, and I'm so excited to be back home. I'm so excited to be at the studio that started it all for me. So, Adanna, I'm excited this morning. I'm excited.
That's right, and I am very proud of you, and I'm very proud for the fact that you're such a courageous young man,
Thank you.
focused and driven, and always keeping your eyes on the prize, eyes on the goal, and always trying to ensure that your objectives are met. And so now this morning we're talking about being the youth ambassador for CARICOM, representing the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and of course, a very proud moment. How does that make you feel, or what was your journey like to get to that position?
Well, Adanna, I felt like that position, it was God ordained. Because I remember when the ministry was advertising, I was looking at it, I was like, I don't want to be no CARICOM Youth Ambassador. But for the entire week, Adanna, every time I picked up my phone, I'll see the flyer. It would just be popping up left, right, and center. And then I remember one of my friends, Miss Jemiah Prince, she and I, we are like spiritual buddies. So like we pray together, we talk about God together. And then in the wee hours of the morning, she sent me the flyer and she was like, Luke, I think you should apply for this. And I was like, you know what, Luke, I think that's some confirmation for you. So then I sent in an application and I did the interview process, and then everything beautiful just started happening.
Wow, absolutely amazing. It sounds divine, as you said, so I'm happy that you were successful at that. And now you're in this position, and of course the demands will be great because now you have the voice for to represent Trinidad and Tobago where youth issues are concerned. And so you have to bring these issues to the fore, try to present your case, and of course look
Correct.
for resolve, look for some sort of changes in policy perhaps in our country and possibly in the region as well. And how is it for you in terms of trying to represent Trinidad and Tobago, to represent Luke, to represent the people who are young, just like you, who have the same issues like you? How does it feel carrying, that mantle to ensure that the voices are heard and that the changes that are important are made?
Well, Adanna, at first, when I first became the ambassador, naturally, it was overwhelming. I was in this new position. I didn't know how serious it was until I got into the position. And I'm like, how can I, as this little boy from Tobago, advocate for so many young people within the CARICOM level? And Adanna, when you think about the CARICOM Youth Ambassador Program, it's basically CARICOM's mechanism for getting young people involved in the integration movement. So it was developed in the late 1990s to educate young people about the integration movement and get them involved in CARICOM. And I know you're probably wondering, I'm throwing this with integration, the integration movement around what it is about, but it's going to tie into your question that you asked, how I'm handling it. So I want to get creative a bit. I want you to picture a football team, but this football team is not your ordinary football team in terms of presentation. So one player is in red, white, and black, another player is in yellow and blue with a trident in the center of the jersey, and another player is in green, yellow, and black. And as the uniform suggests, Adanna, they have unique skills, differences, strengths, and weaknesses, just like our countries may have different resources, economies, and cultures. And despite them being obviously different, Adanna, they're all on one team working together for one common purpose. So when you think about the CARICOM integration movement, it's much like forming a strong regional football team formed from individual players, well, in this case, countries. And when we leverage each other's strengths, we in turn support each other's weaknesses and achieve greater success. And this collaborative effort, Adanna, it really enhances regional stability, regional security, and overall prosperity. So you asked me, how do I handle it? And because of that integration movement that I would have experienced as an ambassador, through the other ambassadors, we work together, we network together. When we come together, Adanna, we address the issues, we resolve the issues, and a lot of action happens. So as ambassadors, we advocate for and educate young people about CARICOM's opportunities and priorities. We address national youth issues within a regional strategic framework. And we also identify and open opportunities for CARICOM youth to thrive within the region and, most importantly, contribute meaningfully to the development of their respective islands.
Wow, that was a mouthful there. And of course, it is understandably so, because at the end of the day, what we're looking for is advancement, progress, and creating a space where everybody feels as if opportunities are equal and accessible to all.
Correct.
What are some of the issues that are burning and pressing for you that you have been presenting or wish to present in the forum that you sit to bring some measure of resolve to?
Well, Adana, starting off, we have the burning issue of mental health. We live in a Caribbean region, and even here in Tobago, where that topic is oftentimes taboo. As a youth, you might go to your mom or your parents and be like, hey, I'm feeling like I'm depressed. And they're going to be like, what you had to be depressed about is I paying the bills, is I had to do this, is I have to do that. You have nothing to be depressed about. But our young people, Adana, we are human beings and we have emotions. And if we are to expect young people to aid in the development of their islands and by extent national development, we need them to be healthy. We need to give them the resources and the tools, Adana, to really be productive individuals. So we have the issue of mental health, we have the issue of youth unemployment, we have the issue of gender-based violence, we have so many issues burning the CARICOM youth. And most importantly, I would have recently championed this issue with greater need for educational improvement. So I would have launched the Tobago Students Association, Adana, and that project launch, it meant a lot to me, because when I attended university right in Trinidad, I would have identified that we have over 131 Tobagonian youth just walking around aimlessly. We have no platform for that sense of community. We have no platform for that sense of identity. And when you look at the other islands, Adana, all of them have a students association. All of them have that sense of community. You learn about their culture. We didn't have that at the level in Trinidad. And if I am to champion regional integration as CARICOM Youth Ambassador, I just couldn't do that, Adana, while looking at my own island, my old island youth. They are just there aimlessly. So we launched the Tobago Students Association, and we were able to change that national narrative. So now at the UE St. Augustine level, we finally have a Tobagonian rep on the guild, on the National Affairs Committee. And as ambassador, Adana, it really opened up my eyes on my ability to really, change the conversation. CARICOM has given us a platform where we can advocate on such a wide level. And from getting that training and understanding what am I supposed to do as an ambassador, I was able now to bring something home to Tobago. Because when you look at the importance of Students Association, it's extremely important, especially when we want young people to get involved in national development, advocate, politics and all. So it starts here, Dana. And when you go back to mental health, right now the CARICOM Secretariat, they are planning to train us as ambassadors, youth leaders and other youth workers, to give them the skills to be first responders to the issue of mental health. Because when you think about mental health, it ties to everything, Adana, climate change, even the issue we have seen here with crime. So many of our young men seem to be on the opposite side of law. How can we as CARICOM youth ambassadors address that issue? So at this moment, those are the current issues we are championing.
And it's quite very, very important, pertinent issues as well. In terms of your Caribbean colleagues, your other youth ambassadors around the region, have you identified similarities in terms of their issues and their concerns that they have been raising?
Yes, Adana, and it just ties back into my first question, my first answer actually with CARICOM integration. Sometimes you think that you're so different. You're like, oh my God, you're from Barbados, you're from Jamaica. What can we possibly have in common? And then you sit and you start to discuss certain issues and you realize, wow, I have that same issue at home too. So although in our media we might see that the issue of crime is more sensationalized, it's always something that's reported. Other Caribbean islands may have an issue of crime, and more importantly, young persons are getting involved. So we have that issue. We have the issue of climate change. A lot of young people, they are not getting involved in this conversation, and as the youth, we need to be at the forefront of climate change if we are to secure our future. So right now, those are the main issues we are championing as ambassadors. As the years progress, maybe our interests will change. I know we started off with gender-based violence last year in November, where we would have went to Jamaica for the Caribbean Youth Summit. So as time progresses, so our interest progresses, or advocacy progresses, Adana. So we're just taking it one step at a time.
And you sound so excited, and I could feel your passion, because I know that you're one, you beat the ground. I know you do the groundwork, and you do your research, and you ensure that you have your facts and you present your case well. how does somebody get involved in this? How does a young person get involved, not just in the ambassadorship, but the
Mhm.
opportunities that are present, that are created and are afforded to young persons from CARICOM?
Well, Adana, I always like to tell young people you don't need no big degree or have this long experience to get involved. You just need to be a young person that wants to contribute to development. So if you want to look at the island level, we have our national youth councils, we have our youth council, we have our police youth clubs. You can start there. In terms of CARICOM, we oftentimes work alongside past ambassadors, we work alongside the national youth councils. So when we come together for certain projects and issues, that's where you see everybody's getting involved. In terms of the ambassador program, usually the Ministry for Youth Development, they would send out an application. The Division of Community Development, they oftentimes facilitate the interviews. So probably when my tenure is up, for those who want to get involved, you can start now, start getting involved now. So when you do that interview, it's gonna be a no-brainer. So that's where you start. And also timed Adana, you oftentimes don't need a platform or to be a part of a group to really get your advocacy going. As a young person, you have your platform, you have your social media, you have your Instagram, you have a WhatsApp. You could start there. You could start using your voice. You could start sensitizing other young people about issues that are affecting you and issues that are affecting other youth. So it always starts with you. You don't have to wait for somebody to give you a platform. You don't have to wait for somebody to give you a seat at the table. You are young as young persons. We are innovative. We are energetic. So if you want something done, you just have to start.
That's right. That's right. And how long is your tenure as the youth ambassador?
Ideally, it's 2 years. Sometimes you get an extension. So practically 3 years, but as of now, it's 2 years, and based on my performance, probably I will get an extension for the
Ooh,
third
of
year.
course, that's the confidence we're talking about there. And this is why we have such pride in you, because we know not just that you have the passion, but that you have the confidence as well to put yourself out there. And of course, an encouragement to other young people. As you mentioned, you don't need to be invited somewhere. You can use your own platform to present your cause. There are so many persons who have used the social media,
Hmm.
for the causes that they believe, that they are convicted about, and they have gotten a lot of traction, a lot of attention, and they have brought change to situations
Correct.
that they found themselves in. So of course, good advice there coming from Luke this morning. And of course, you can do it too. You can do it too. Of course, if you have something that is very important and burning to you, you can bring change in the spaces that you occupy.
Hmm.
Now, Luke, what are you looking forward to most in this role in the future? Like, even from today, what is the thing that you are looking forward to achieve before you hand over the baton to someone else?
Adana, as a young person, my grandparents always used to tune into the politics and the news. And as a young person, I would have observed over the years this divisive narrative between Trinidad and Tobago, perpetuated by past political leaders. And at this current stage, we are still observing that sort of adversarial relationship when it comes to Trinidad and Tobago. But as the new generation, Adana, we reject this counterproductive approach. So as an ambassador, I want to ensure that Tobagonian youth get involved in the conversations, that we get that representation that's needed, that we build meaningful connections with Trinidad so that we are a unified republic and not one versus the other. Now, as young persons, that's why I started the Tobago Students Association, because it started there. We have a network of 131 members, eligible voters. These are people that can speak. These are people that can get involved in the civic procedures. So, as ambassador, I want to ensure that when I am done, it's not just me. That when I leave my space, there are other Tobagonian youth who are thriving and contributing to the island development. Because oftentimes, Adana, let's say, for example, when I travel and I go to these forums, it's just me, I'm the only Tobagonian there. And I remember when I raised that issue with the youth officer at the Division of ComDev, I would have told her, hey, this St. Lucia trip that we're going to, it would be really nice if we could have a Tobago delegation. And I'm so thankful that the division, they honored the request and we moved as a group of Tobagonians. And it was so pleasing, Adana, for us to have that level of representation on a regional level. When you look at how the regional peers, they started understanding that, it's not just Trinidad, it's Trinidad and Tobago. And while we may be a republic, we all have our differences, we have different nuances, similar to what we see at the regional level. So my goal as an ambassador Adanna, is to strengthen the bonds between Trinidad and Tobago, starting with its youth. It's not going to be an easy road. It's going to be difficult. It has been difficult, but I'm seeing the improvements. I'm seeing the progress, and I'm starting somewhere. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's absolutely awesome. It's a lot there. And of course, Luke, I wish you the very best. But before you go this morning,
Hmm.
not only do I want to know what you are looking forward to in this role before you leave,
Hmm.
but what's next for Luke? After this period has ended, what's next for Luke? Is the activism going to continue? Of course, it's going to continue. But what are your long term goals after you've handed over the baton as the youth ambassador for CARICOM?
Donna, to be honest, I really don't know what's next for me.
Mm,
Currently, I am studying to become an attorney, so by the time I'm finished being an ambassador, by the time my tenure is up, I would be in law school at Hewing, and I want to continue my activism there because I have a passion for being a defense attorney. I think I always love to stand up for people. From since I was small, I
mm,
was always the one at the front picking up for people and defending them. So at that level, I think I would see myself in our justice system, standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves, being that voice for them, advocating for their passions and their interests. That's where I see myself now. Also, in the future, I want to see probably what my biggest goal is to bring a legal clinic here in Tobago where we can assist people who can't assist themselves because we know the financial burden it takes on people when they want that legal representation. So, coming from a village of Mount St. George, Adanna, it has been difficult getting in these spaces. People always think that the youth of Mount St. George are supposed to be a certain way. So the fact that I'm able to show people that Mount St. George has something beautiful and beautiful things to offer, that's why I see myself in the future giving back to my community because if it wasn't for the community amongst the Georgia Dana, I wouldn't be here today.
mm.
From since I was young, they always had a special interest in my development. They will always encourage my mother and my grandparents to get me into these spaces, get me involved. And it's because of their level of interest and care for me, I'm now here. So when I'm finished as an ambassador, even during my last 10 years as ambassador, I want to push all my resources into giving back to my community. So that's where I see myself in the future.
Absolutely awesome, awesome stuff there coming from Luke this morning. And Luke, I just want to share some messages with you from those who are viewing us on our Facebook Live. Melanie Lubin, she's saying, hey there, Ambassador Luke.
Hi,
Great
Melanie.
news. Wow, coming from Lasaif Ratin. I hope I'm pronouncing the surname correctly. Saying good morning. Aldit Cowan is saying brilliant youth ambassador.
Thank you.
Pearl Murray Beard, so proud of you, Luke James Trim.
Thank you.
Janelle Wright is saying, well done, Luke James Trim. I love to see your brilliance. Rodney Piggott, Luke, the sky is not the limit. Bring the
Oh.
content that will expand the mindset of the youths, thus expanding innovations. Luann James, do you know that one?
Hi,
Do
mommy.
you know? She said, very, very nice, Luke. Very proud of you. So everyone on the
Thank you,
live this
everyone. Thank
morning
you,
is
everyone. I really appreciate it.
yes, expressing congratulations to you, and of course, very, very proud of you. I think you're an excellent representation of the young people here on the island of Tobago, championing the cause, and of course, the issues that you spoke about this morning are very, very important, especially and particularly mental health. We really, really, take it for granted,
Correct.
and we really brush it aside, and it's something that we really need to pay attention to. So I'm happy that you have seen the importance to bring it to the fore, and I do hope the conversation yields, benefits to all of us, because at the end of the day, our young people are the ones who will be leading us, right? And so we want them to have that space that they can expand and grow and be the best version of themselves, and encourage the ones who are coming up as well. So Luke, on behalf of the Tobago Updates television family, we say congratulations to you.
Thank you.
We say best wishes to you.
Thank
And we
you.
will, of course, we're going to hear more from you because you're one of us.
Yes.
And we are proud. Yes, we're making that claim and that boast this morning. We are very proud of our Luke, and we will continue to encourage him and encourage all young persons who want to get involved in the conversations that affect them and affect generations to come and affect the spaces that we occupy. And so we want you to do your very best. Use Luke this morning as an example, an inspiration, and a motivation to get up and get going. You have a voice, and we want to hear what you have to say because it can bring change in the spaces that you occupy. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning we've been speaking with Luke James Trim, Youth Ambassador for CARICOM, representing the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, securing our future as young people here on the island. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to go for a short break before we continue conversations in studio this morning. And of course, before we go, Luke is going to help me,
Of
course, to tell you, to help us
Share the life, share the life, share the life.
We'll be right back.